Welcome back, Cupid's crew. We have an exciting episode today because we also have a lovely guest. But today we are actually going to talk about a movie that I hadn't ever seen. So it is a classic for a lot of folks, but I have never seen it. But it's Music and Lyrics with Hugh Grant and Drew Barrymore. So I'm just going to give a quick intro to the movie for those who haven't watched it like I had not watched it. And then we'll get into introducing our guest today. So, Music and Lyrics is a 2007 musical romantic comedy about Alex Fletcher, a washed up 1980s pop star who gets one last chance at a comeback, and he must write a hit song for a reigning pop diva who gives off very Britney Spears vibes, so we'll get into it. And he struggles with lyrics until he meets Sophie, his quirky plant waterer who has a natural gift for words. Hugh Grant plays Alex Fletcher, Drew Barrymore plays Sophie Fisher, and then Haley Bennett plays Cora Corman, who is the massive, highly spiritual pop star who gives off very Britney Spears vibes, in my opinion. But thanks so much for listening about the movie, but I want to know more about our guest.
Yes, so I'm super excited. I reached out to Dabney on Instagram because I love her content. And I asked her what her favorite rom com is or what rom com she'd love to talk about. And when she said music and lyrics, I kid you not, screamed because this is one of my favorite rom-coms. I'm going to go down and say I think it is one of the most underrated rom-coms of all time. And I'm so excited to talk further about it. But first, let's let our guest introduce herself. Dabney.
Hi, I'm Dabney. I am the creator of I Love the Zero Zeros. In my head, I read that as I Love the 2000s on Instagram. And I post a lot about things from the 2000s, things from now, just kind of mixing them together. Music and Lyrics truly is one of the best rom-coms of all time. I feel like I got it probably in 2007 at a Blockbuster. It had to be like a random pick off the shelf that turned out to be such a classic in my DVD rotation.
So many questions, Dabney, because I also miss a blockbusters. But okay, so how many would you say it's your top 10 favorite rom-com? And if yes, how many times have you watched it since 2007?
Okay, I would definitely, I think, put it in the top 10. I've probably seen it, not including clips that I've clipped for Instagram, but I've probably seen it full through like at least 7 times, which doesn't feel like enough. I'm due for a rewatch.
I personally think that this movie is the perfect amount of rom and com, which I know we talk about a lot on this podcast. I would love to know both of your opinions, especially Paula, since this was the first time you saw it. I want to know your unfiltered, raw opinion because obviously Dabney and I are pop fans through and through. And if pop ever goes on tour, Dabney, you and I
Front
are going to
row.
have to front row, 1,000%.
Barricade.
Exactly.
Can I just say though that one of the co-star or the co-bandmates is the guy from Ginny and Georgia, and he's had such a good comeback in the modern period. He's had so
You
many.
stole my spill the popcorn.
I'm so sorry, but he was in Ginny Georgia, and he was in another really
Friday Night Lights.
yes, yeah. He's had
Sorry, I got
Wow.
so excited. I'm sorry, I got so excited. Scott Porter.
Wow,
Yeah.
me
That's
fully
his
not
name.
recognizing him anywhere.
yeah.
Wait, I didn't recognize him either the first couple of times I watched it. And then finally, when I saw him, I was like, that looks Jason Street from Friday Night Lights. And then I Googled it and it was fireworks.
Crazy.
But you're right. He is in Ginny and Georgia more recently, but
Yes.
it's just insane.
I don't know if he's in Heart of Dixie too, but I feel as if he's in another really successful TV show that I watched. But yes, it was my first time watching Music and Lyrics. I don't know if this is controversial, and I want to know, Dabney, what you think, but I think it was more calm than rom.
There's a lot of calm, and the ROM is very late developing. It's calm first.
Yes. Okay. That's the vibe that I got, but I do like your point about how towards the end it got so you get so deep into the storyline. And I don't know if that's what they meant for it, but Missy and I often talk about what is inside the writer's head in terms of who wrote the movie. And I think that the flow went really well from kind of, even we'll get into a meet cute moment, but even when they first meet, it's very quick. I mean, it was almost so quick that she just said, "Hey, I'm going to water your plants," but then, "Oh, I have a cut on my finger. I'm going to go. Bye." And then towards the end, they really fall deep for each other. So, yeah, I thought it was more calm than rom, but I think that the flow was really nice.
Absolutely. One of the quirkiest first meets of all time.
How did you like the meet cute moment, Dabney?
I love it. I think the mixture of the fact that she's just in and out so quickly and she's also trying not to bother him and actively bothering him so much is hilarious.
Missy, what
I
did you
think Drew played that character so well. I was trying to think because we do talk sometimes on the podcast, Dabney, about like what would we change about the movie if we could.
Mhm.
And I don't think I would change Drew. I think she was honestly so perfectly casted as being so quirky, but talkative, like word vomit, but like not aware, but sometimes aware of it, if that makes sense. Like she was able to poke fun at herself sometimes, especially when she was talking about herself in terms of when she was in college and was talking about the Sloan Kates of it all.
Mhm.
But I just thought their chemistry was so perfect. I don't know. I love this movie. I really love it, and I really want Pop to go on tour.
And her quirkiest, talkative-ist moments are just so cute because it's Drew, so it's adorable.
Yes.
Okay, Drew also has a daytime show now. And when I watch her interviewing folks on her daytime show, I get a sense of her character being quirky in real life, but I still think that her character in the movie was different from Drew as a real person, but both quirky. Were you sold on Drew Barrymore and her character rather than Drew Barrymore, watching her as Drew Barrymore in real life?
I feel like she sells quirky so well in a character that's been written for her because she knows how to be quirky herself. And so they're not necessarily the same types of quirky. Like it's definitely a character. It's not the drewiest Drew we see on her show. I think that's probably more her authentic self. She's playing like herself. But when she's playing one of these quirky characters, she really like gets it and she gets what it's like to be that quirky girl. So she plays those moments very well.
Dabney, while we have you, I just wanted to quickly ask more about how you came to develop your I love the 2000s kind of mantra and kind of aura, but also wanted to ask you how you sort of started realizing that rom-coms were your genre of choice, because that's what Missy and I love talking about, is how we can make the rom-com applicable to our everyday lives.
I don't know that I ever had a moment of realizing. I think I probably, when I was still had a shelf of DVDs. Now they're all in a book for space saving. But when I had a shelf, I like would look across it. I was probably 12 or 13, and I was like, "There's a theme here," and it was all the best 90s and 2000s rom-coms. So even the I love the 2000s-ness of it all started back then, way before Instagram even existed. And made the page one day. My friends and I were watching Scary Movie 2, and there's an outfit in that movie that was so iconic. I needed an outlet for it. So I made a Finsta, and that eventually turned into this.
Love that. I need to know this outfit now.
I can't do anything scary. Even if it's, I know scary movies, a total, satire to scary, but I still can't do scary movie, just the mask and everything. But okay, so do we all agree that the meet cute moment was realistic? Did we all?
Totally.
Okay.
I mean, I think it could happen for anyone who maybe is coming to someone's house as a contractor, or if you meet someone on the street. Like it just was so happenstance. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Even if you met someone in West Elm or Crate and Barrel and they were helping you pick out something like a sales associate. I think that was just the organicness of the moment. What I loved is watching their friendship develop, because you could see in the beginning how Hugh Grant, Alex Fletcher, he needed her help, but he was so irked and annoyed by her because she was so quirky. But then he slowly starts to fall for her and her quirks. Like even when she comes over for the second time and she puts all the stuff on the piano, you see him picking it up as she's putting it down. So like he's guessing what she's saying and starting to go along with things. And then ultimately at the end, when he writes her the beautiful song and now you've killed all my plans, like I almost cried. I almost cried.
Honestly, one of my favorite things about the two of them as a rom-com pair is that on that second meetup, he's not changing her. He's just anticipating her needs. She's going to put this down on the piano and I'm going to pick it up for her.
Yes.
Okay, while we're talking about this scene, I texted Missy on the side, Dabney, but I don't know if you agree. I had a deja vu moment when Drew Barrymore told her sister, I can't do this, I gotta go. And that moment to me immediately reminded me of Hilary Duff in A Cinderella Story, where she's in the bleachers and tells Carter, I gotta go, I can't do this.
Completely. A moment of emotional overwhelm.
Yes.
And like watching the person who broke your heart perform.
Yes. And then he performs, but then she notices midway that he's doing it for her. And then she turns back.
I didn't answer because I was speechless in agreement.
I also feel like one of the most underrated characters in the whole movie really shines in that moment. Her sister, who is like, my sister's having a hard time. Husband, take the kids. And I'm with my
Yes.
sister. She's the best sister throughout. Even when she's like pushing her, she's there for her.
I'm glad you mentioned that because Rhonda, I feel like when she finally realizes that it's Alex Fletcher that Sophie is talking about and working with, and then she's like, I gotta go out when like they finally go. And then when she's meeting him, that whole scene, first of all, her and Alex, when he's performing at the reunion is gonna be me and you at the concert when they do tour. But I felt
Can't
like
wait.
she played such a fangirl so well. And I feel like that would be me if I saw like Taylor Swift in person.
And I just feel we need to cast Kristen Johnson more in
Yeah.
more things.
Yes.
I want to see her everywhere.
Yes. And Dabney, to your point about how much we love the sister, I totally agree because Missy, when she first met Alex Fletcher and she was totally obsessed, she dropped everything. But then when he broke her heart, Drew Barrymore's heart, the next scene where her sister was there, I think when he came back to the office, to their parents' office, you could see it on her sister's face where she just hated him.
Mhm.
He said, what are you doing here? But that was just the small things that made the movie even better because you know that her sister was there for her until the very end.
Even her favorite band in the world, her loyalty lies with her sister.
Yeah.
She's a true sister. I have an unpopular or maybe controversial opinion, okay? And I want both of your opinions on this.
Can't wait.
I think that Rhonda, even though I love her and her husband's dynamic, they're super cute. I think her and what's the name of his agent? Chris,
Ooh,
right?
Chris,
I think they would make a cute couple.
I don't hate it.
What do you think, Paula?
I'm trying to think because her husband was the. I kind of want her to stay with her husband just because they had kids, right? And
Yes, obviously. Like we're not trying to divorce and give
yeah, but
childhood trauma here, but
I could see that. What was his name in the movie? The guy that we're talking about.
Chris,
Chris, the manager?
Yeah, the manager. I thought he had a thing for the pop star.
I mean, come on. The way that she was dressing, everyone was drooling for Cora Corman. Let's be real.
I thought that was a story, but then I got
also
confused.
in his dreams.
Yeah, yeah. But she gave out very Britney Spears vibes to me, which I kind of didn't know if that was intentional, but it made sense.
Very
Do
album
you
free Britney.
Yeah.
Yes, 1,000%. I wonder if Britney or maybe some of the other early 2000 stars were inspiration for Cora's character because the way that she was so hypersexualized and kind of blonde and a little dumb, like when at the party when she's like, I want to show you the top floor. It's on the roof or something like that. Like
That's
I
such a
felt
good
so
one.
bad for her character because she played her so well. She was so vapid, so vapid. My AirPod.
Yeah.
I feel like some of my favorite moments are her performances, and I feel like they all look like Britney's Snakes VMA performance. Like they're all a
Yes.
twist on that.
I think that's what I
1,000%.
kept getting in my mind was the outfit and everything too seemed kind of to be the whole Britney Spears snake moment. But a question that came up while I was watching it, and I don't know if I just love when there's a scene in a movie where we can see the whole the cast and the crew of the movie making like the video making scene. I just got a random thought as to what it would feel like to be on such a sensual set like Euphoria or something. I can't imagine being one of the crew members watching that. And this movie made me really see the Hollywood side of, even in a rom-com, the Hollywood side a lot differently. But I think that this movie did a really good job at showing a little bit of that too, which I don't know if you
True.
guys agree with.
I do think something that's kind of interesting about Cora's character that I don't know if we see in real pop stars is she has a lot of creative power. Like she's driving the theme of this entire album and it's like every whim she has, she's like dipped her toe in the thought of religion and now it's the whole album. So it's interesting that like the label isn't just telling her what it has to be.
You're right. I didn't think about that. You're right. Everything she wants, she seems to get. Like in the beginning when she wants, I mean, the whole huge controversial opinion of Sophie telling her your steamy and sticky Gandhi orgasm version of Way Back Into Love is not going to cut it. No one wants to say anything to her, even though clearly it's just unspeakable. And finally, so they do speak up and they get the beautiful version. So yeah, I think you're right. And I find that funny, not funny. I find it ironic considering we're comparing her to Britney Spears, who did not had any. So she was in her conservatorship. Is that how you say?
Conservator.
Thank you.
Got you. But yeah, I do know she really drove the vision of like Baby One More Time and like on those video sets, but really I like the thought that Cora gets to put together this songwriter competition and the label's just like, as long as you figure it out, girl.
How did you feel about her using Buddhism? Buddhism is the religion she was, I guess, so closely passionate about. Do
Mhm.
you feel like, would you call it a cultural appropriation? Do you feel like she was not like, I'm not a Buddhist, so I don't know. I would love to ask a Buddhist how they felt watching this movie and if they felt like, oh, like ick. You know what I mean?
I can assume like she wasn't employing anyone Buddhist on her sets, so like not great, not great.
Yeah. Yeah.
No advisorship. And also I think a lot of things are just like not right, but I will say Entering Booty Town is a banger.
To tell you, I still listen to the songs to this day. Like Pop Goes My Heart is still stuck in my head to this day. A Way Back Into Love. They're bangers, honestly.
Yeah, they were very catchy. Whoever wrote the songs, I'm sure that they were real life pop, maybe music composers and such. They were actually very catchy. I agree.
I was reading an interview that Hugh Grant did with Wired because I was so curious whether him and Drew actually did their own singing in this movie. And it turns out they were both very auto tuned. In fact, Hugh Grant said that he was auto tuned beyond belief. Actually, that's not true. He was auto tuned a bit, but not as much as some, inferring that Drew was a very horrible singer, which then Drew clapped back and posted a video on her Instagram of her singing Way Back Into Love to like have justice for her. And I gotta tell you, they both had really good voices in the show, in the movie.
And you know, I Drew sings a little in 50 First Dates. So I feel like that's her more like raw, accurate singing voice. I can believe she can hold a tune.
Yeah, my second favorite rom com of all time.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I mean, Drew Barrymore is definitely one of the OG queens, but we haven't even talked about the amazing Rotten Tomato score that this movie received, which I was kind of shocked by because, again, first time watcher, I can't believe that I haven't watched a movie that had a 63% Rotten Tomato score. And I call myself just a rom com lover, but 63% is pretty high. And Dabney, Missy and I kind of looked into what goes into a Rotten Tomato score. And a lot of it is originality and how the movie produced ideas that maybe other rom-coms haven't produced. And would you both agree with the 63%?
No,
I would go higher.
that's what I was gonna say.
But
Would
I
you?
would also in general, like, I feel like Rotten Tomatoes underscores all the time. I'm not gonna, go to bat for the film Material Girls, but why does it have a 4?
Is it really?
So Rotten Tomatoes is mean.
Oh. Rotten Tomatoes is kind of hit or miss. Sometimes the movie will get a lot higher than I imagined, and then other times it'll get way below what I imagined.
I
Yeah.
think it should have gotten a higher score than To All the Boys I Loved. I think that was the one that we saw that had like a 94, right, Paula? Or
Mhm.
92. That was not an original plot at all. I've seen that trope before several times. This was original. I've never seen this kind of plot before. I don't know. I just loved this movie so much, so maybe I'm biased.
For like musicals and soundtracks, does Rotten Tomatoes score in like their Billboard numbers or how those reviews go? Because I feel like if it has a banging soundtrack, it should get a few more points.
Totally.
I agree.
And the originality and the artwork that went into it, like the whole music video in the beginning at the end, like I really felt like I was watching MTV in the 2000s, especially at the end with all the little pop blurbs about
Yes.
explaining what the characters were up to, which I thought were hilarious. And I never noticed until I watched it this time around for this episode. Was dying, loved them. But I just was like, this movie hits so nostalgia, is music through and through. Like you can tell music was so a huge part of this movie and so interwoven and carefully. It wasn't an afterthought, I guess is what I
Mhm.
want to say.
And I love that they fully conceptualize the musical styles of like 3 different entities because you have pop and you have Cora's career and then you have like Sophie and Alex writing together and all of those have very different styles to them. So it's just like showing music through time and showing all these different things that have been popular. I feel like they each represent a group of musicians.
Mhm.
I also have to say, I think Hugh Grant has aged like fine wine. He looks so beautiful in this movie. I mean, I know this was in 2007, so this is almost a decade later. He still looks great. I've seen interviews of him now, but especially when he is shirtless on the balcony, I was like, whew, Drew, get it, girl.
What a lucky gal.
What? Sophie Fisher, man. She is lucky. I mean, I I also loved the lines that you didn't expect that were super funny and hit home. If that not hit home, but just like you had to listen to them and I was like, "Wait, that's actually really funny. Why didn't I catch on to that the first time?" Like one of the favorite lines was you look a little mangy when she's in the that whole, first of all that whole scene from start to finish when they finally give the CD to Cora and then they get invited to dinner and then to the end when they do finally have their first kiss. That whole section of time is my like elevator pitch for the movie because I think it's so good and so classic. You get to see all the characters in their true sense of identity. And then when Hugh Grant is fighting Sally Michaels or Sloane Cates, whatever his name is, and he's like, "Okay, there's butter in my face. We're done." And then the manager comes up and he's like, "He has a show in Knott's Berry Farm. Don't touch the hair."
I also think it checks one of the important rom-com boxes, even though it happens off screen. But there's a makeover when the therapist comes over and gives Sophie a makeover, and gives her dress off her back. Girlhood.
Yes.
Mhm.
And she had another funny line too. And she was like, 7 years, I finally helped someone in therapy. Like those one-liners that you didn't catch on to that I had to find myself rewinding and being like, wait, that's so funny. And that's,
Or
I
like
think, why I loved this movie so much too.
or like when they're performing the song to the doorman and he hears there's a clown above my bed and she's like, "Why would there be a clown in your bed?" And Alex
And
is
he's
like,
like, yeah,
"Hasn't been the first time."
exactly. And then he's like,
Good
"I'm
one.
tone deaf." Just was the comedic timing I thought was just really perfect in this movie. Paula, how about what were some of your favorite
Well,
lines?
I'm trying to insert myself in here, but I think because it's the first time that I watched it, right?
Yeah.
There was just so much. I was just trying to focus on the general plot, right? So I think when I rewatch a lot of the movies that we talk about on this show, that's when I can really say, "Oh my gosh, there was this thing that I didn't catch the first time." But I think in general, I really think that whoever wrote this, the writers of the movie did a really good job at never missing a beat, never making the movie too slow, never making the movie too fast. So I think just all the quotes, the witty quotes from all the different characters really helped again enhance the movie and add to the movie, which not a lot of movies, I think, in the modern rom-coms do as well. I think modern rom-coms, they either add a line that I think is forced or they don't have as much of those witty, quirky lines that I think the movie could use. And so it was a really good pace in that regard, I think, watching it for the first time.
And like with modern or more modern rom-coms that are more wordy or they add extra sentences you don't need, it dilutes those one-liners that are easier to
Yeah.
remember. Like I will never forget Cora saying, "If it's meant to be, it will be. It's destiny or not." Like
Yeah.
that plays in my head once a week.
Yeah.
And it's because it's
Or
so short and succinct.
or even just a little louder because this song is intended for humans to hear.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like those one-liners that were just so perfectly timed. I just, like you said, I hear those constantly.
Yes, which makes me wanna ask Dabney about, you obviously watched a lot of movies from the 2000s, the early 2000s, but then has there been a rom-com in recent years that you have really loved that, mimics a lot of what the early 2000s rom-coms had?
Question. What has
I
even come
will
out
tell you,
recently? What do I
I
watch
will tell
that's
you,
new?
I will gonna say, Dabney, we actually had this, we talked about this in our very first episode, Paula. I said the controversial opinion. I don't think there's been a good 2000s movie since the early 2000s. Sorry, a good rom-com since the early 2000s.
Like maybe, but nothing standing out. I mean, one of the best, like the latest one I can think of is Valentine's Day, and that's definitely like 2014. So that's
Yeah.
not even that far.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say that I watched a movie recently that Missy knows about, but it's the one that's set in Italy that we're going to talk about in a couple of weeks on this show, but it's on Netflix but that one was actually cute. Again, I don't think I think the rom
No Place to Be Single.
Okay, No Place to Be
Mm.
Single. I would say that that movie recently reminded me of the 2000s, I think, again, because of that pace. But I don't know if this is controversial, and I want to talk about it when we get to this episode, but that was an international movie. So, like, why haven't we in the US produced anything as great and wonderful as music and lyrics or any of the other ones that we've talked about? But anyway,
I agree.
that's
Yeah.
a big, heated, controversial opinion, but I just watched Office Romance 2 with J-Lo and Brett Goldstein, and I was so amped up because Brett Goldstein had mentioned that he wanted this rom-com to be based off of all of the, rom-coms that he has loved watching from the early 2000s. So I was really hoping, and I don't know if it did justice to all the early 2000s rom-coms.
I think would be remiss to not talk about the one of the biggest lines in the movie and why the whole movie is named Music and Lyrics is when Sophie's explaining to Alex the difference between music and lyrics. And I'm going to quote it exactly. A melody is like seeing someone for the first time, physical attraction, the sex. But as you get to know someone, that's know the person, that's the lyrics. I thought that was so beautiful and so accurate. A great way to describe writing a song. And I think about my favorite artists who've written songs and why of course, we're going to go back to another Taylor Swift tangent here. I think Taylor Swift is one of the greatest songwriters of all time. She was just inducted in the Songwriting Hall of Fame. But the reason why I love her songwriting so much is because I feel like I know her on a personal level and she puts so much thought and depth into her lyrics that I don't feel like she's just writing to write a banger or write a hit. And I felt when I read this quote, I thought of Taylor Swift. Not that we're in a relationship, but we are. Do you guys have any artists that you feel like you feel that connection with, or can say, I definitely see why they're an artist, and you could see the difference between their music and their lyrics and how it comes together so beautifully?
Well, definitely also Taylor Swift.
Dabney, I feel like we're just long lost best friends that really need to get together.
True.
Are we secretly sisters that we just did not acknowledge?
Now we know.
Now we know. How about you, Paul? Any artists that you can think of off the top of your head that you feel like?
So in general, I'm not someone who is just a crazy fan of not just music, but in movies or anything. I don't have a favorite anything. But I do think that Sabrina Carpenter, the more I listen to her music, she puts a lot of care into not just the lyrics, but also the melody, which in this movie, it really shows that you having both is a beautiful thing. So I think Sabrina Carpenter comes to mind. And I mean, Harry Styles, I think, is one of the artists that I really enjoy listening to because he can also, I think, produce something where it shows a lot of attention and care.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think of Noah Kahan, Gracie Abrams. Is that how you say his name? Noah Kahan? Yeah, Noah Kahan. Gracie Abrams. Who's the guy that Alex Warren. Alex Warren. Oh my God. This man can write. I want him to write my wedding song.
I'm gonna have to listen to Alex Warren. I don't know if
You don't know Alex Warren? Do you know Alex
maybe
Warren, Dabney?
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay,
I'll listen
for
to a
sure.
song. I mean, this again, I just whatever's the top 10 I'll listen to, but
I feel like not that I love Britney, don't get me wrong. I'm a Britney fan. I love Hilary Duff. She was my first concert. Love her. And I know
speaking of, Hilary Duff's new album is lyrically genius.
I just feel like the early 2000s artists, it was more about a banger and getting a hit as opposed to connecting with the lyrics. Whereas that's why shows like One Tree Hill that really brought out music. I know you're a Thousands girly. That show was so pivotal in, I guess, connecting people with music and giving artists who had something to say, give them a platform. Do you agree with that? Or do you think there's another show that's been doing a really good job of kind of showcasing artists like that?
I mean, just a little bit later and a little bit like indie sleazer, but like the Gossip Girl soundtrack was always music I had not heard before. So that was like really good for exposing me to different types of music.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that could be the shift from CD sales to streaming, where you needed a banger to sell the CD. So someone would buy the CD so they could listen to the deep cuts. Now you can have an album of deep cuts that are all really connected to people. You don't need a banger, and people will still find you and listen to your music. Like everyone can do hyper personalized music now.
I don't know
Such
why.
a good point.
Yes. I don't know why, to add on to that though, the people who I think didn't want to release things just to be a banger, who I think still did a good job in the 2000s, were rap artists. Eminem comes to mind. I love all of his music. My gosh. And
1000%.
when I listen to his lyrics, I don't even know what the melody is. I just love listening and, trying to rap as fast as I can, which is a story for another day.
Or even early Drake too.
Yes. So I think the 2000s did a really good job for rappers maybe, but maybe not so much the artists such as Taylor Swift. Agreed.
There was some poppier pop, but there was also some deep pop, like Christina Aguilera with Beautiful. That was
my
deep and meaningful pop. So it's like You really could make it, I guess you could make deep and meaningful pop on an album and sell it. She did it.
I'm going to say if you were born in the 2000s or earlier, if you have not looked yourself in the mirror and grabbed your hairbrush and was singing, "Words can't bring me down. I am beautiful in every single way," passionately, did you even grow up in the 2000s?
Yeah.
I mean, truly inspirational.
She comes to mind, Kelly Clarkson, Avril Lavigne. So yeah, I mean, I think they were just undersold.
And I
Or
had all those CDs.
yeah. No, I mean,
I would expect nothing less from you, Dabney.
let's just say I have illegally downloaded them, but I had them all.
Oh my God.
Valid.
Remember LimeWire was that what it's called?
Yeah.
LimeWire?
Yes.
LimeWire and or FrostWire.
Yeah. I think you're right though, Dabney, about music now because anyone can post something on Instagram and it'd be like a little reel or a highlight or
Mhm.
TikTok or even Facebook or something and YouTube. There's so many different platforms now for people to get their music out. Whereas back then, you're right, you needed to get an agent, you needed to
Mhm.
get signed, you needed to sell actual physical CDs, which also I made a note that it was so funny when they brought the CD to Cora, she actually had to listen to it on a CD player, which I feel like aged me so
It was such a
crazily.
vibe.
Yes, such a
All right, ladies. Well, one question that we haven't asked that we always talk about in rom-com, maybe it's a good one to start winding down, is if you could change one thing about the rom-com, what would it be and why? Should I go first because you both are this is your one of your favorites and
Gotta
so I'm sure
ponder.
since we're both sitting here quiet and not knowing what to say, yes, Paula, please go first.
mine would be if I don't know if we needed to have such a I mean, Drew Barrymore's character did not get justice from how poorly the professor treated her and scarred her. And I wish that he would have gotten more bad juju. I'm just going to say it.
You know what? I agree 1,000% with that. And I wrote that down in my notes. I feel like that plot that happened between the two of them is a common, unfortunately, thing that many young women go through in this country or maybe in other countries. I don't know. I can't speak, but are manipulated and their stories, they're gaslighted. And I would have loved for Drew to get more like
Yes.
dig the knife in deeper. And so
Mhm.
I agree. That would be the one thing I would probably want to see more
And
of
in
as
a
well.
it's a rom com. So it could have been in a funny way, but still, I wish she would have gotten more justice.
Yeah, absolutely. If I was making this movie in 2026 and it was not in 2007, Sophie and her sister's family would probably not be running a line of weight loss clinics.
That
I
did
feel
not
like we
age
didn't
well.
need that.
No.
Would have been fine without it. They could have
Yeah,
run
we talked.
any other business, travel agency.
You know, you're right. We talk a lot about whether these movies from the early 2000s have aged well, and I do not think that aged well.
Not a good one. Not a good moment.
I mean, Bridget
No.
Jones, we talk about all the time. There was such a big emphasis on weight. And she was literally a size, what, 6?
Mm-hmm.
Same with Devil Wears
Paula, I have a question for you. So Paula loves to talk about the setting and the scenery of a movie. And so this movie clearly took place in New York. And we've constantly talked about whether we think the movies that take place in New York could have taken place in another city. So Paula, drum roll, do you think this movie could have taken place in another city? And if so, which one do you think it would have taken place in?
Wait, yes, because I thought the whole time that it could have been in LA.
How about you, Dabney?
I immediately was like LA, Chicago, Nashville. Like if there's a music hub, I feel like you'd be fine. You could do it.
Yeah, I don't feel like New York was really the focus here.
Mhm.
I agree.
I'm going to be super honest. I didn't think any scene really, aside from maybe a deli or a coffee bar, everything else,
Bodega.
a bodega. Yeah.
They spend so much time inside the apartment that it's really an indoor one location type play for a long time. But also, I feel like if you know the amusement parks that Alex is playing at, you get a northeastern vibe because he goes to
Totally.
Knott's Berry Farm and Adventureland, I remember.
Yes.
So you kind of can triangulate after a while.
Well, I think this was such a great conversation. I really loved talking about one of my favorite underrated movies of all time. And I'm so happy, Dabney, that you feel the same way. Paula, that you got to watch it. And hopefully now it's on in your queue of rewatches. And we would love to have you back on Dabney in the future to talk about another 2000s rom-com. So let us
Absolutely.
know what some of your favorites are, and we'll try to get you back on again. And friends, if you've seen Music and Lyrics, let us know your thoughts. Did you like it, not like it? How do you think it would come out today? And Paula, any other last thoughts or Dabney thoughts you guys want to share?
DM'd you the Scary Movie 2 outfit.
Perfect. Paula?
I would say that for anybody who had music and lyrics were on the fence about watching it or not, just watch it because it's actually really good.
Yes, watch it, listen to the soundtrack again. You know what? I said I'd seen the movie 7 times. I've listened to the soundtrack 700 times. So
Yes,
you
1000%.
get hooked.
So you totally get hooked. And when the concert comes, Dabney and I are front row with our popped shirts.
Yes. Can't wait.
All right. Thanks, Cupid's crew. We'll see you next week for another episode.